LanatheEducator episode 2, where we'll be looking at embracing figureoutability here. Welcome to my podcast where I delve into issues that might be on the minds of educators out there, whether or anybody involved in anything to do with education, students, ancillary administrators, anybody. So welcome and let's begin. So we're looking at the issue of, or the topic of figureoutability. And whether you're striving for success or you're a dedicated teacher shaping young minds, you might be a paraprofessional making a difference, or even an administrator leading the way. This topic, I think, will apply to everyone here. So I really hope for us to explore stories of triumph and innovations across the globe. And so I thought it only fitting, as I embark on this journey of doing this podcast that was really fueled by my determination and creativity, to look at this topic of figureoutability, because it really touches on my mindset shift to delving into this particular concept. And this is a concept that was really coined by Marie Forleo. And it's really more than just a word, it's a mindset that empowers us to tackle challenges head on, believing wholeheartedly that no problem is insurmountable. So this is why I thought that this would be an interesting topic for us to look at this week. And I can really start off with myself and how I embrace this mindset. So some months ago, it was the beginning of the year, and I decided to really think about what I was going to do. So in typical Lana, the educator fashion, I decided to set some goals because I'm a planner. So I went about putting things into effect, and I thought, everything would have fallen into place. It was easy enough to plan on paper, but the execution obviously turned out to be a little problematic for me. So what I didn't cater for was, what I think all of us know, and I didn't realize the seriousness of it, is that when we try to pursue our goals, you really start for some reason to see all these obstacles. And these obstacles sometimes to be both literal, and sometimes they're figurative in sense. And you get obstacles in your professional life, and suddenly they're popping up in your personal life. And then at times they collide and you wonder what's really going on. So it was really easy to feel discouraged because I had set my goals, I think as we all do in the beginning of the year, where we start to have these resolutions, and we start off in January already and gung-ho to go. And as you see now, it's March and here I am. But this is where figureoutability comes into play, because even though it was easy for me to feel discouraged, um, I was saying, how can I get started? Why can't I get started? Why can't I figure things out to, do that first step? Which is very unlike me to take so long in getting started with my goals. So I just one day sat down and typed into the search engines, how do I get started? And then this mindset popped up, this mindset that says, well, we're going to talk to you about how to empower yourself to just tackle these challenges head on and just not see things as being insurmountable. And, I started to get a little bothered a bit because people kept telling me, you'll figure it out. They asked me what I was going to do. So I started to ask myself, how am I going to figure these things out, and enter figureoutability. That this belief that, no problem is, you can't get over, you can get over any problem once you're determined, once you're creative, you can find that way to achieve your goals. So it's this mindset, that this particular understanding that you have, even if you don't know how you're going to solve a problem at the moment. You can figure it out with time and effort and creativity. I have some of those. I have the effort and I have the creativity. Sometimes it's the time that really presents the problems. So I had to start. I went back to my goals and my objectives, and I was saying, I wanted to do this podcast, this episode, the vlog, or is what I was thinking before I pinned it down. And, I wanted to learn to do it for myself. So I had this objective, and I said I couldn't give advice and talk to people without trying things for myself, right? So I started with these SMART objectives, and that's this acronym that's been floating around a while, looking at the specific and the measurable, the achievable, the relevant, and the time bound. And I like goals, I like plans, I like structure. So this SMART objectives really work for me. Um, so when I set the goal, your goal had to be specific, and I thought that I was setting a very ambitious goal for myself. It may seem easy out there for a lot of people putting themselves out there, but I said, you know, all these people are doing it. I don't take it for granted that, they're getting on to social media, they're putting their image out there, their voice out there, and being a private person, this was something that was ambitious for me. So I had to turn back to this figureoutability mindset. I needed to give what I was doing a name so that I can make it into a concept that I could work with. And I had to believe that no problem was insurmountable. So I aim high and I trusted that I would find a way to achieve my goal, which was namely starting this channel. So rather than setting a vague goal, I pinpointed exactly what I wanted to achieve, which was to create and upload this educational content. And the focus was and is to be on inspiration and insights and invaluable resources where at least the educational trends can be discussed and where we can tackle pressing issues and, facing our sector and maybe be able to share the triumph and innovation, just from within our experiences and within our classrooms. So this figureoutable mindset meant believing that I could figure out how to get there, which led easily into looking at how I was going to measure my progress and my success. So right now, I'm only going to measure by engagement because it is something I felt I needed to do, and the people who need to find me will find me. That was sort of my mindset. And then obviously I'm using YouTube as the platform here. So later I can measure by setting targets like subscriber growth and video views and watch time and things like that, comments and shares. But I obviously want to be realistic. Since I'm starting from scratch, I'm looking at achievable goals. So given my resources, given my skills and time constraints, I don't intend to see 10,000 subscribers in the first month, even though that would be great, you know. But I'm being realistic here and looking at what's achievable and then also what's relevant, at least in my mind. And what seems easy enough, at least for me, is that I am aware of my overall vision and mission for the channel. So I just need to ensure that my objectives align with them. And I have approached time bound by setting a clear frame for achieving my objectives. And if you want to adopt this figureoutability mindset as well, if you're finding it hard to pin down and get started, then you can use this structure of the SMART objectives and do it in that way, because it can really be applied to any goal or task that you are out to seek. So having system that gives me a time limit, a time bound limit, really appeal to me because I like to work with deadlines. So this figureoutability mindset really helped me to stay resilient. It helps you to stay resilient if you're using it and helps you to view setbacks as temporary rather than insurmountable. So it really allowed me to stay flexible and adaptable in my goal setting because it means inherent in the concept is trusting that you can figure out a way to achieve your desired outcomes. So with this mindset, you believe that you can encounter all of anything that's an obstacle in your path. So throughout the process, I had to balance my ambition with this grounded understanding of my current circumstances. So in the meantime, I really just pursued, new skills and knowledge, trying to get the necessary skills and competencies in order to start the channel. And it wasn't easy, you know. Um, I'm not a person who usually likes to ask for help. Not that I'm stubborn or anything like that, but I like to figure things out for myself, which is why Figureoutability really works for me. And I'm, sharing it with you in case you didn't know that this is something that you can look to and use in your own life as well. So my new goal really means that I have to face uncertainty, but with this Figureoutability mindset, I think I'm be able to do it because it allows me to see uncertainty not as something to fear, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. Um, so how can you use it, right? So I started by, as I grew, my passions changed. I never thought I would be here. I never thought I would put my voice out there, just on, on the internet and social media. But you can identify your passions, you can build your new skills that you need, and eventually, hopefully, you can network effectively. And then when challenges come up, you have to kind of manage your expectations of what you want to do. As I said, my expectations right now is just engagement. I would be happy to see, some channel growth and views and likes and all of that, but there will be negative that comes along with that. So embracing Figureoutability really means that it can be transformative in your personal and professional lives. So if you believe in your ability to really overcome the obstacles and achieve the goals, then you set yourself on the path for success. A lot of success really depends on your grit and on your mindset and on your stamina to not be knocked down, when you start to attempt your goals. So I know I am probably making Figureoutability sound like an abstract concept, but it can be applied to specific areas of your life. Maybe you're a student struggling with a difficult assignment, or even an entrepreneur trying to launch a new business. You might be a chef trying to experiment with a new recipe. So whether it's this business hurdle or this problem with your culinary, you know, skills, culinary conundrum, if you want, the key to overcoming it just might lie in, embracing figure out ability. And so, what happened to you? Are you nervous about getting started? Is it because of perfectionism? Sometimes people tell me, are you trying to be a perfectionist? And wanting a level of or a standard for the work that you produce and the things that you do, there's no problem about that. Being nervous about doing something well, there is nothing wrong with that, I believe. So why not just start anyway and figure it out, right? Your mind is really making it harder than it actually is. And that's just the end of it. Your mind is sometimes the thing that's keeping you back. You just need to start. And I'm telling you, before I got to this stage, this point right now, talking to you, I started this so many times in so many ways. And, I know there'll be people out there who will critique it. I looked at other people and what they were doing, and then I saw people around me starting it. And that inspired me as well to start what I'm doing now. So don't let your nervousness, about what you're thinking prevent you from starting or making things seem harder than they really are. My point is this: whether you want to be building something, a greenhouse, start some hydroponic something, you want to start a musical instrument for the first time or your business for the first time, it is figure outable. You just jump into it and you practice the fundamentals over and over and over again. I know many people out there will say, and I've heard it, just do it, I'll just practice it, just start. It really is that. You just get up one day and you start. You just start. You open the laptop, you buy the materials that you need, you get your ingredients that you might need. You talk to somebody about starting a business. You just get those fundamentals and then you practice over and over again. So figureoutability might really sound like this fancy term, and I probably made it sound like something vague, but it's a mindset and nobody can kill an idea, right? It's a way of approaching problems, and you do it with confidence and you do it with determination. So it's about believing in your ability to find solutions, no matter how challenging the situation may seem. For many students around this time, they may be going into examinations. A figureoutability mindset might be the one that they need to adopt to move forward, because it is the foundation of innovation. It is the foundation of progress. And it's really what is driving us to push boundaries. It is possible for you to use it to push boundaries of what's possible for you and to find ways to tackle obstacles. So when you truly believe that anything can be figured out, you're more likely to persevere. You're more likely to, struggle on in the face of adversity. And it's this kind of resilience that really sets successful people apart. So, how can you unleash your figure out ability? It's frightening because it really starts with you embracing the unknown and reframing challenges as opportunities for growth. So instead of being intimidated by obstacles, you have to see them as puzzles waiting to be solved. You have to engage your curiosity and just think outside the box, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. You remember that every problem has a solution and it's just waiting to be discovered. So yeah, it all sounds good and easy and oh, fairy dust. But really, is there anything that isn't figure outable? Of course, there are things that isn't figure outable, right? So let's start with students. So if you're like me, maths has always been a problem. Equations and theories and exams, all of that seemed insurmountable. And I didn't know I was doing it at the time. But really, if as a student you approach these challenges with confidence, you know, as a area that was always problematic for me and for many others out there, something like math seemed insurmountable. Just this week, in a recent conversation with coworkers in the lunchroom, we were talking about this challenge, and I was saying, at first I felt overwhelmed by all the math problems and the way that they seemed just, unrealistic to me, just these one-dimensional things. And, I didn't get through, I didn't get to the first time around, but I really, to be able to pass, started breaking them down into manageable steps and just seek help when I needed it. And I didn't have a term for it back then, but it was really just your figure out ability mindset coming into play. So even though I'm using Marie Forleo's term for something we all know how to do, you know this. It's a new term, but it's not a novel idea. If you look at housewives, they figured it out a while now. They face a multitude of tasks every day. They have to manage their household, they have to take care of the children, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. We may have watched our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, our spouses do this, and it may, they may feel overwhelmed, but this figure out ability, which they probably don't call it, empowers them to find efficient solutions and that is able to help them manage their responsibilities. So they balance these household responsibilities and the childcare, which is in itself challenging. But with figureoutability, you see that they've learned to prioritize the tasks, they learn to delegate where possible, they find creative solutions, and then they end up streamlining their day. So, as an educator, I have seen students who have visible disabilities and some of them, unseen disabilities, and you've seen them struggle. And for them, this will can present not just physical but societal barriers. And when I think back on it, I say, but to navigate their day and to navigate their lives, many of them, by the time they finish schools, they've really adopted a figureoutability mindset. They have adapted, they innovate, and they advocate for their inclusivity, and they make things possible. They make what might have seemed impossible possible. And for them, if you watch them as perfect examples of navigating challenges that can be frustrating, but they figure out a way that empowers them, that leads them to adaptive solution, and then they focus on what they achieve rather than what they can't. And these are living examples sometimes of what we see, which become our success stories. Everybody knows the businessman. Business people encounter obstacles all the time. Even if you're not the big CEO of a conglomerate company or multinational company, all the persons attempting to start a business will look at market fluctuations. You have competition, you'll have logistic issues, and these challenges become inevitable. But figureoutability has taught them, to think outside the box, to look at these obstacles as opportunities for innovation and growth. So it really enables them to pivot and to innovate and turn challenges into opportunities for growth and success. So no matter who you are, no matter what challenges you face, figureoutability is really within your grasp. If you embrace it, if you believe in it, if you watch and you be vigilant, you will just watch as you conquer these obstacles and you achieve your goals. So guys, embrace the figureoutability mindset, right? You have the power to figure it out. Thanks for watching, and remember to hit the subscribe button and let's embark on this figureoutability journey together, because with the right mindset, everything is possible. This has been Lana the Educator.